Welcome to the Bandwich Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. My guest today is Terri Lyne Carrington, one of the most influential musicians in modern jazz. Over the course of an extraordinary career, she's earned multiple Grammy Awards, performed and recorded with artists including Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Stan Getz, and countless others, while also establishing herself as an acclaimed composer, producer, band leader, and educator. Terri is also the founder of the Berklee Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice, a groundbreaking program that continues to reshape conversations about equity, representation, and opportunity within jazz education. In this episode, we discuss her upcoming album, Trip the Night Fantastic, a project that explores groove, dance, social consciousness, and human connection through a wide-ranging musical lens. We talk about the relationship between music and identity, lessons learned from mentors like Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, the art of producing collaborative projects, and why the future of jazz remains incredibly bright. This was a thoughtful and inspiring conversation with an artist who continues to push the music forward while honoring the traditions that shaped her. Here's my conversation with Terri Lyne Carrington.
Okay, begin. African music is highly improvised. All rhythmic patterns typically played with drummers. Traditional music in most of the continent is passed down orally. Call and response, tone, color, and flexibility of pitch. Personalization and the wide latitude of personal expression, percussional sound, both with voice and instruments, emphasis and improvisation.
Terri Lyne, it's such a pleasure to welcome you to the podcast. I've been such a fan of yours for so long, and it's an honor to chat with you. How are things today?
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I've been, ahead of this conversation, I've been listening to the new album that's set to release July 31st, Trip the Night Fantastic. And my goodness, it is just an unbelievable album for so many reasons. And I'm sure you're just so proud of this amazing project that you're getting ready to release to the world.
Thank you. Yes, I am proud of it. Thank you for your kind words about it. You never know. When you do a record, you're not sure what people will think, and you're not sure if you hit the mark. And so since it's the beginning of the rollout still, it's nice to hear that you like it.
Yeah. I'm just so struck by there's so much incredible harmonic, melodic, rhythmic, lyrical information, and just the overarching theme and content of it is just, there's just so much going on, and it's just all lives together so well. I'm just so inspired by it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was described as a dance album for difficult times. I love that description for it. When you first imagined the idea of it, what did dance mean to you, and instead of just the idea of dance as movement?
Well, yeah, dance has been so connected to, drums for sure, but just music in general. And I think, I'd been thinking quite a bit about how jazz had abandoned dance to a degree, not fully, But at the point when bebop became popular, people left the dance halls, left the swing era, and decided to present this music on stage. Wanted to be in philharmonic halls like classical musicians, be in suits, um, and have people sit and listen to their music. And I get that fully, but I feel like with something gained, there's also something lost sometimes. So I've been thinking quite a bit about that. And as much complicated music as I like to play, and I really love to play free music too, which still has a dance. But I was thinking I really do also just love to play grooves. So I wanted this album to, at least in the beginning stages of the planning, I wanted this album to be more groove oriented, maybe than the last ones. Um, but our jazz nature, of course, comes out, and so there's some things in there. It still is, a groove based album, but there's some things in there that are, say, asymmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah, odd times and stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that groove can open up a listener emotionally before they even know, what the song is asking of them?
Absolutely. I think people connect to the music quickly before they even connect to the lyric, for the most part. Maybe not in all styles, maybe not in hip hop as much as, I mean, the groove is still, so important in a lot of hip hop, but sometimes, people are really dealing with the lyrical content now, and there's not a lot of music even on the tracks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, the groove is going to bring people to you, the music itself. So I've always felt that no matter how important or deep your lyrics are, the music has to be good. And
Yeah.
it really, there's a lot of, great lyrics that maybe don't have great music. And I don't think that that's going to, stand the test of time or do what you're looking for. So I wanted to make sure that the music was good, felt good, and could kind of live on its own.
Yeah. I think you've reached a part in your work where it isn't just reflecting musical ideas, and now it's like it's engaging social and cultural and historical questions. Um, was there a point when those things stopped feeling like separate conversations and started feeling like the same thing? And was that a conscious thing, or did it just evolve and kind of be a reaction to these crazy times that we're living in?
Well, I think honestly, like the times have always been a bit crazy. They're highlighted right now, but
Yeah.
uh, in the worst of ways. But for a Black woman, the times have always been crazy. Just as far as where those identities meet, and I feel like I just had to kind of make or come to a place in my life where the art is not separate from who I am. And, that takes some living to do, it takes courage. It takes, a point of view. And sometimes it takes time to even develop a point of view. So, yeah, I think I kind of came into my own as far as, my artistry, not until I was 40 or so,
Yeah.
which is okay.
Yeah. Did
But
you
yeah, I
notice
mean, there's a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of
sure.
things you can actually talk about now.
Did you notice a difference, or maybe unlocking something in your playing when you embraced that and said, I'm going to my artistry is going to approach my whole self? Did you notice something that did you feel freer as a player when that happened?
Um, in some ways, I think just as I've gotten older, I've just felt more free as a player in general because I felt more free as a person. I think that it goes hand in hand. I don't think there's a separation. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing I learned from Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, that there's no separation from music and life. So as you develop your life, your music develops. And educate yourself more, you read, you have more experiences, you figure out your own purpose and sense of mission, and really what your legacy is going to be. What mark do you want to leave in the world? For me, it was really never just playing drums. There's just so many things that I like to do, and unfortunately, I don't always have time to even focus on the thing that people know me the most for. And I'm not even sure anymore if that's what people know me the most for. So,
In reading about your early years, I was so struck by how music was just all around you in every way. Family, I mean, everywhere. It was. Did it just feel inevitable from the beginning that this is what you were going to do, and this was the path that you were going down? Was there any moment where you thought you were going to do something else, or has this been the direction from the beginning?
yeah, this has been the direction from the beginning. I never thought to do anything else. I had good grades in high school, so my teachers were like, "Oh, you could do anything," but I wasn't interested in anything else. So yeah, I've always known that I was going to be a musician, and thank goodness that I had parents that supported that for a young girl to decide to, play drums and follow in the footsteps of both my father and my grandfather. There's probably a lot of talented young women that didn't get the kind of support needed to be able to do that kind of thing. So it was a bit of a perfect storm for me, because my dad knew so many people and people would come through the Boston area, and it would be over the house, or he would take me to see them play, and I just had a set of circumstances that really supported this journey.
Yeah. What do you think that Boston gave you musically that you still carry in the way you play?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Just the history, of course, of drummers from here: Roy Haynes, Tony Williams, Alan Dawson. I studied with Alan Dawson, so it gave me that proximity to him. His brother lived across the street from us, and just the proximity to New York. Boston is like a stop that you would make if you were playing in New York, and if you weren't from New York. But if you're from New York, it's also easy to get there. You can actually drive to a gig and drive back the same night if you really wanted to. So Boston's kind of like a little New York. And I also had Berkeley, which is where I studied. So again, a perfect storm.
There's nothing right here you should see, just be easier said and hard to achieve. My head takes me back to the street when we met and we knew this thing was a thing that we would need. When we met and we knew this thing was a thing that we would need.
Saw them from a distance in a restaurant. Got my attention, 'cause eagles fly with eagles. We talked, we vibed, then we did it in the dark. We did. So who are you? I know it's not easy, so why not just be who you wanna be.
Break free, taste good lately.
And love who you wanna love.
Love thee, love me.
Them, they, he or she.
We
Just be who you wanna be.
break free.
I don't care if you
By the way, congratulations on the recent honorary Doctor of Music from Tufts University. Such a cool honor. What does an honor like that? What does that mean? Being acknowledged, in your hometown.
Yeah, that's just goodness. It's so special. I have 4 honorary doctorates, and The first one was from Berkeley, which was very special because I went to school there. And the next one was Manhattan School of Music, which was during the pandemic. A great honor. I didn't get to go to the school until a couple of years later, and just kind of do a master class. So thank you to Ingrid Jensen for that. And then York University was the third one, which was great in Canada, just a very big school actually. And then Tufts. So Tufts being like the school that was in my actual hometown that I would drive by so often, and had relatives that worked there. It just felt like a full circle moment. And you always think when you move back home, well, I don't know if everybody thinks like this, but kind of like I lived in New York, I lived in LA, then I moved back to Boston, and I was like, okay, did I make it? Or am I returning home? And so a bit of a like, what does this mean? And so to have that acknowledgement from Tufts and even from Berkeley before makes me feel like, okay, I did all right.
I would say so. Yeah, you certainly have. I had the pleasure of, as you're talking about Berkeley, I had the pleasure of some months ago talking with Chris Davis, who was on the podcast. And we talked about the Berkeley Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice that you started, and such an incredible program. Has that program, or how has that program changed maybe the way that you lead your own ensemble? How has that as a musician and that leading that program kind of informed each other?
Yes. Well, I mean, it started because I recognized there was a need at the college. There were a lot of young women that had their own group, Women in Jazz Collective, because they needed to be together and to talk about things. And I realized that there needed to be a formalized space for that and for everybody to participate in looking at the gender disparity in jazz, because it's not really just for women to figure out. In fact, it won't get figured out if it's left just to women. Everybody has to participate in it because the women aren't the one that created the problem, even though there are some women that I would say prescribe to these patriarchal structures. So it's also fascinating to me, because there's a lot of young men that gravitate to our program because they want to be a part of something new, something different, something that's something that's not focused on the kind of masculinity that's been embedded in the music, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's maybe another sound, another approach that has not been really given an opportunity to contribute to the music. So we don't know the potential of the music until we can embrace, another aesthetic, that's not as hypermasculine in it. So I think it's pretty fascinating, and I think there are a lot of young men studying that are embracing that idea and hiring women and playing with women, being hired by women. So how it's affected me is, because I've grew up playing with nothing but guys, and I did do the Mosaic Project some years back, and that was the first time I ever played in an all-woman situation. But then I quickly realized that that's not, the answer for me either, all women situations, because that's not the world that we live in, nor the world that I'm trying to build. For me, it's more about, an integrated stage and kind of allowing space for another sound possibility. So that's how it's all affected my own presentations.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I just and as I said to Chris, I just appreciate the work that you are doing there, and I do think it's so important to as the father of a 15-year-old daughter, I feel so much gratitude to you for doing that, for leading that charge, because it is so important. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about the new album that's set to release. As I said earlier, it's just incredible, and it has so many incredible guest artists on it too. Like just the list of singers and performers is incredible. How do you? What is your thought process of casting a song or casting for a project, determining who and how that cast of characters come into play?
Well, I just kind of write the song and start to hear things and, try to figure out what voice I'm hearing. I demo all the songs, and that helps me really get inside of the lyric, and it helps me to determine who I think can pull it off. And, I've been fairly successful with hearing the right person. And when I send the demos to people, most of the time, they're totally on board because they can hear themselves on it. So when you use the word casting, it is like that. It's like a casting director. Producing is like that. There's so many things that go into music other than just practicing your instrument. There's curating, casting. You're like a director of a movie. So that's why I think because I think like that, my projects, tend to be, like involved, big, as far as, the guests and all that, because I'm, making my movie, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you lead a collective like that without feeling like you're over controlling it, to let everyone have their creative freedom in it, but still achieve the vision that you want without stepping in too much?
I think, that's just like production, as far as, having your own vision and knowing when to let go of some of your vision so that you can allow other people, to fully contribute. And that's not, always the easiest thing, because you're hearing something in your head. But if you trust your own instincts with who you've called, then I think, you have to also trust them, and you have to kind of let some of your own ideas go to welcome other people's, so it's kind of like you can't be controlling with it, even though, really you are controlling, the project. So it's a fine line. There's always something, that you either wish you didn't let go, there's something that you, like I think Quincy Jones had the perfect quote. He was talking about production and mixing, and I think he said, you never finish a mix or production, you just abandon it.
What I want to, it's my body.
That's a great way to describe it. Yeah, because it's so easy. You could obsess over it for the rest of your life, if you had the time to do it. And it's at some point it's like I just have to put it away and put it out in the universe. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that years of being a side musician working with other artists really has empowered you to know how to lead your own group? Do you think that really, kind of set you up for success in that respect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think you learn from your experiences, and I've worked with a lot of great band leaders, and all the styles have been different. And I can't say that I'm replicating anybody's style. I think I probably am a little more involved, so to say, a little more committed to my vision.
Yeah.
Because I worked with Wayne Shorter for a long time, and he didn't really say too much about the music. He's talking about life and all these other things, and that's his style. And you can then see how that influences and informs the music. So everybody's a little different, but you take things as you go. One of the things I learned from Herbie Hancock is, just there's always a possibility. Not just within the music, but just as a band leader and as a person. He's the kind of person that wouldn't take no necessarily for an answer, as far as if he really, whether it's being at the airport and trying to get some extra bags on, and him jumping in and getting involved with, like, there's always a way to work something out. That kind of spirit. It's a very Buddhist, never give up spirit that both Herbie and Wayne had or have. So I learned from the band leaders I've worked with, and then I'm also my own person, and fairly outspoken, and navigating what that means for me, to present my own music.
Yeah. The track, I love the track "Identity Song" on the album, and it's addressing gender, queer identities. How do you approach writing about people's lived realities, I guess, with care and musical honesty? How do you approach composing something with that theme?
Yeah, well, the composition was actually done earlier, and then I changed it and produced it for that track. So, but the lyrics, I think you must be talking more about the lyrics than the composition. I mean, they do marry each other, but the thing about the social science album is, there's definitely themes that I wanted to tackle. So then it was a matter of matching the themes to the music. And so we had recorded that track, and I didn't know when we recorded it that would be the theme for it. But as far as how do I approach, writing lyrics with that kind of care that's needed, I think it's just a matter of, well, one, how you write. I tend to write, let's see, how do I say it? Not maybe as overt totally as some people. I like a certain amount of, not that Identity Song is that way. I'm thinking maybe of some of the other songs, but in general, like, I like lyrics to be clever and not, and it might be the old school part of me, but not always, I don't always want them to hit you over the head. I want, sometimes something to seep in, or for you to wonder what I mean, those kinds of things, to ignite your curiosity. That's, my style of writing lyrics. And I think it's worked for some of these themes, even from the first social science album. And also with the music kind of being warm and inviting. So I feel like the music and the lyrics match, and they have a good marriage. But I also feel like the music can be more inviting, and then you don't realize that the lyric is kind of as strong, thematically as it is. So there's all that involved. But and as far as care, I mean, that's just a matter of empathy, and how I would care for myself is how I would care for others. And all the themes basically are things that I experience myself or care about, as well. So I don't think there's a mystery there. If you're going to have care when you speak to somebody, or when you just put your thoughts into the world, you want to have care about how they'll be received. So that's for the community, and for the communities that you're talking about, and for the listener.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm always intrigued by when listening to an album from front to back is the track sequencing. I love to try to think about what the artist was considering when sequencing the tracks, and I would imagine that most artists agonize over that, about which order to put the songs in. Was there a lot of conversation about track sequencing for this record, and how did you do it to make it feel like an overarching emotional theme instead of like a collection of different statements?
Well, yeah, I guess there's different approaches. I mean, I had a bunch of different orders, and Morgan Guerin co-produced this record with me, and we had some orders, and I think Matt and Aaron sent some orders too, and I just kept looking at them, and taking some of the information and suggestions, and just listening in these different orders. Even if I didn't listen to the whole song, maybe I'll listen to the beginning of the song, the end of the song, and see how it flows into the next one. And I think I focus more on also the musical flow as far as how a song leads. And I focus on things like, does this have live drums? Does this have programmed drums? Is this, something that feels like organic as far as they go together? Or is it way off? And maybe, some songs are going to be way off. So you have to figure out where to put those, like Solidarity Song and Reckoning Song are a bit different. And even Identity Song, different sonically than others, And then I think about lyrical content to a degree in the themes and what might go together. But it's all kind of organic, and a little bit of, I won't say happenstance, but like it's just what feels right, and without a whole lot of logic sometimes. It's intuitive more than logical.
Hey now, you can't take away our freedoms. Our prosperity is the backbone of this country. I've worked hard, my family has too, so that we can prosper. Now hold on, we ain't hurting you. I deserve every penny I got, so I ain't sharing nothing with those that ain't trying as hard. So all this equal talk is starting to piss me off, and I'll do whatever it takes to stay on top.
It's the wild, wild east and the wild, wild west. Gonna do what I want. To hell with the rest. To hell with your rights. I'm here to confess. Looking out for my own. 'Cause I'm scared to death. Bang, bang, bang. Enough is enough. Stop bothering me. 'Cause it's about to get rough.
I was wondering about how you approach drum programming when you have such a developed acoustic drum language. Do you approach it similarly? Do you approach it as a very different thing? How do you approach the two?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, because you can do so many different things with the program that you maybe can't do physically. So I want to acknowledge that when I'm programming. Like I don't want to be married to it sounding as if it's something I could play. But I also want it to sound a bit like a drummer as well. So it's just kind of finding ways to make it feel like a drummer is playing or made this beat, and then ways to do sprinkles and things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on the drums. So yeah, and I don't do a whole lot of programming. I mean, I did it for Reckoning Song and for Identity Song, but actually Identity Song is a combination, because often what I'll do is play something and then substitute the sounds. So trigger the sounds. So often it's something that has a programmed sound because it's a machine sound is also something that I played.
Okay. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Do you tune your drums differently when the music is lyric driven versus just instrumental? Do you have a, or do
No,
you typically
I tune the drums
keep your,
differently. Yeah, no, I tune them differently for the song, the music. The lyrics don't generally affect how I tune the drums.
I know some drummers make adjustments like to the snare drum tuning based on the timbre of someone's voice, the pitch of their voice. And I was curious about that. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. But I was wondering how you approach the two.
Yeah, you just keep trying to find the sound that the song calls for. So if the lyric or the melody or the vocalist is already on the track, then yeah, that might have something to do with what the song calls for. But if they're not on the track, a lot of my tracks are done before the lyric or before the vocalist is there. But I also have the opportunity to change the sound, like because I do trigger.
Yeah. I had the amazing Matthew Stevens on the podcast some time ago. Such a fan of his as well, and he's just an incredible human being and wonderful player. And I know this ensemble, social science grew out of some conversations with Matthew and Aaron. What made those conversations feel like it was the beginning of this thing you were wanting to do? How did that kind of all start to, happen?
Well, I think I really always wanted to be in a band. And when I had these conversations with them, I felt like, oh, this is the band that I always wanted, because it's really also more about, I don't want to say more about, but it is also about personalities and who you vibe with. And I just love those guys. And I thought I could see us creating some cool music together because we like talking to each other. We like each other, all those things. So I think once we started talking about social justice issues and how natural it felt and how we were all on the same page, I felt like, oh, this is a good way to approach the music that we'll create. And, of course, I didn't know how far it would go as far as, at the time, maybe I was thinking it would be instrumental. I don't know, and just things developed. So the first thing that happened is I went to New York and just played with Aaron a couple of times, just me and him in a rehearsal studio, just playing and working through like some music, some stuff that he had been writing. And that was amazing. And, his sound is, such a big part of this project, like with songs like Climate Song and Reckoning Song. And then, on the first album, Bells and Trapped in the American Dream were pieces that Aaron brought that we, then that I added some lyrics to, or Casa. So I just feel like the way he writes music in combination with, my own musical aesthetic, and then in Matt's musical aesthetic, and then Morgan's, it started to create its own sound. So.
Yeah. I have so much appreciation for what you all bring individually to the project, but then what this new collective thing, yeah, it's just beautiful. It's so musically beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will be holding on to our collaboration for as long as I possibly can.
And I having played music for many years, I certainly your comments resonate with me, that I spent a lot of time just playing in other people's projects, and spent a lot of time before I got into a band with some people that I really, enjoyed them as human beings first and musicians second. And it was it's like it unlocked this new thing for me as a collaborator, getting to do a band project with people that I just love being around.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way you want bands to be, I just feel like it's more about like how you care for each other as people. And then when you have that kind of respect and care for one another, it's so much easier to create art together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I completely agree. Can you think of any? I was thinking back on, just all of the musical situations and different projects you've done over your incredible career. Can you think of any situations where you kind of walked into a project thinking that you were going to be a passenger, we'll call it a passenger on the project, but realized that you needed to be more of the driver on it? And how do you approach situations like that?
Um, hmm. Let's see. I mean, that's a hard one because I feel like I'm kind of like that with so many situations, because drummers tend to be driving forces in bands. I've always said your band is only as good as its drummer.
Absolutely.
And the producer in me is always trying to like better a situation. That's of course subjective, but the producer in me is always thinking, what if we did this? What if we try this? Let's try this. So I often have to just maybe convince myself to hold back sometimes, because I don't want to, have that kind of takeover spirit. Even though I'm very, confident that my ideas are good. So if it's needed, often, it's not needed, but sometimes it is. So yeah, it's just, I mean, even with some of the great musicians I've played with, I would be the person that would be helping to put the set list together or to help form the bands, like with Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock. When I was playing with them, a lot of the people were people that I suggested. I would also kind of help sometimes with set lists and organizing things and ideas and arrangements, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. It's such a it can be such a dance, knowing when to lead and then when to let someone else lead. And I think that says a lot to me about these incredible artists you're speaking of, with Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, putting that trust in you to do that. I mean, that says a lot about how they felt about you as a leader of your own.
Yeah, I feel that way. I feel like there was a lot of trust. And I think it's also because I understood the history and could talk to them about stuff from back in the day. And also, because sometimes with the younger bands, everybody wasn't as up on all that, But, and also it's the approach. I realized just, with people like that, you have to understand personalities and of course you have to be respectful in a certain way, but I think, how you approach people is at the end of the day, how you're heard. You know what I mean? Like if you want to be heard, you have to understand people. So you have to figure out a way for someone to hear you. And I think that's, maybe, a knack of mine.
Yeah.
So I could see sometimes when I could get across to somebody and I would see maybe other people were struggling.
One of the things too that I've always appreciated about your playing, and I think it's very similar to the people you've played with too, is that I always feel like you are, whether consciously or unconsciously, respecting everything that came before you while still finding a creative way to push the art form forward simultaneously. Is that a fair assessment of the way you play?
I would say so. I think that that's super important, to have a foundation, and to be knowledgeable about it, its history, and respectful of it. But I do think that, jazz is an art form, and every art form really is one that needs to be, pushed forward. And that's kind of how, all the great music happened in the first place.
Yeah.
So, unless you're playing classical music in a traditional way, I don't see why we would be doing things exactly as we were doing them 30, 40, 50, years ago. It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I respect people that choose to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not actually what makes sense to me.
Yeah. When you hear the younger musicians, kind of this next generation of musicians, what gives you hope for the future of the art form?
Hope. There's just so many people that are playing. It's amazing to me. And young people that decide to play jazz. I run a high school program at Berkeley every summer for the last 20 years. And I'm always amazed at, these teenagers that come in, knowing so much, about jazz. And, I'm wondering, how did they find jazz with all of the popular music that they're inundated with? How did they choose this? And, happy that they could come to a program like ours and find each other and develop, relationships, that could be lifelong, even before they get to college. And they're so much more advanced in some ways than we were because of the times we're living in. Everything you have access to. You can go on YouTube and see all these amazing performances, and you can slow things down and listen and learn. And we didn't have that. I mean, we had to just go to the club or go to the concert hall and watch people and see what you get that way, or listen to the records. There's so much more access now. So they're developing faster. Now, are there things, missing? And there's, I mean, some things are developing faster, but you still have to have that solid foundation to build from. So yeah, I grew up at the beginning of, hip hop, when hip hop came. And so of course that's part of the music of my generation. And so it's natural for me to kind of feel attached to, foundationally to jazz, and also be attached to hip hop and R&B and the music of my youth. And it's makes, I guess I feel kind of like a bridge in some ways between generations and between genres. And, I think I just love, creativity in these various ways. The creativity that it takes to make good hip hop is just a different kind of creativity that it takes to make good jazz. But it's all, highly creative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, Terri Lyne, I've had so much fun hanging out with you.
Me too.
It's just such an honor. And the new album, Trip the Night Fantastic, July 31st. I can't wait for everyone to hear it. New singles are releasing. I know as we're recording this, 2 new tracks are dropping this week. I'm just so blown away with what you're continuing to do as a composer, as an artist, just as, using your voice in every way. And I appreciate that. And I just wish you all the best. And thank you so much for the music.
Oh, thank you. It's been nice talking to you. And thanks for all the great questions and being so prepared.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwich Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.